Well, welcome to our Alloy LED webinar today. We're going to be focusing on specifying products today. But before we get too far, if you could please mute your microphone for the webinar. If you have questions, you can certainly pop back in and ask any questions that you may have. We are happy to have those discussions as we go through. And also just please refer to your manufacturer specifications for install, compatibility, and layout recommendations. Today I am joined by Nick, who is going to walk us through our examples today and how to spec alloy, what the alloy process is, and as I mentioned, some of those layout examples. So Nick, I will let you take it away.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for being on or viewing our webinar today. Our team believes this webinar is going to make you more comfortable working with Alloy LED and doing some projects that may at first glance seem intimidating, but really Alloy makes it fairly stress-free. And Tammy did all the work here on this webinar, so if that's not the case, it is her fault.
Thanks, Nick.
All right, you're welcome. So we're going to start with learning different ways to spec alloy on a project. And there's multiple ways that this can be achieved. Our focus is going to be on tape light, channel, transformers or drivers, and the controls. We're going to use a few examples that our team have worked on recently to give you some real-world applications with this. So this is just a photo that I helped the distributor here in town work on. This was a really big, beautiful display wall in a builder's showroom. So we had Alloy cut all this tape to length, solder the leads on it, and then we just had to put them in place and wire them to a driver. And this was obviously the RGBW product, but it turned out really nicely. So to start here, we're going to look at two options when working on any of these projects. One is if your customer just comes in and they need at least some sort of an answer from you that day. So really what you can do to spec it yourself. And two is to have pretty much Alloy do all the work, to have them spec it. So you can see on the left there, I won't necessarily read through all of these, but those are kind of the questions that you need to ask yourself or ask your customer when working on a project. You know, what do they want to get out of this? What is their goal with this project? Is the tape light merely for ambiance, or is it to perform some sort of task? And so on and so forth. On the right, you'll see if Alloy is going to be doing this for you, really you just need a rough sketch or a drawing that has length, product selected, and you send that to them and they will do the rest. So if you're wondering how am I going to figure out what product is going to fit what their need, this is on page 20 in the Alloy catalog. It's a 3-page foldout, if you will, and it goes through all the tape that Alloy offers. And we just highlighted that far right column, which is pretty small font, but if you have the catalog, you can reference it or on their site. And it kind of gives you an idea of what that tape is used for. Is it ambient lighting? Is it task lighting? Is it for a wet application? So that will help you narrow it down. Okay, so on the next page, we're gonna give you an idea of a kitchen layout. So let's say a customer brings us in and they want to get an idea of, say, hey, I want to get some tape light. What would you have to work for me here? This would be a great example where, you know, this is something you could probably do yourself. You know, once you figured out they want task lighting, you probably want to go to the Prima Line 3. The blue represents where that tape, and in this case, channel would go. So we have two corners. Then you're going to see these aqua colored lines that come in that go back to that red driver. So that red driver you'd locate in a cabinet. In this case, we're putting it under the sink in the lower cabinet. And then the aqua blue lines there are the leads that would go from the driver to the beginning of the tape run. And the little aqua squares would represent the tape-to-tape corner connector, and then a possible elbow channel. So that tape-to-tape corner connector would allow you to seamlessly go from the first run, a 2-foot tape and channel, connecting it to the other at that turn. The elbow channel would be if someone was really particular and they wanted that channel to look smoothless or almost like it was one piece. Otherwise, you could butt them up to one another. So with this, you have that, you have your tape, you got your leads, your tape-to-tape connector, your driver. If we go to the next page, you'd easily be able to look that up in Alloy's price sheet, and you'd be able to get figure out quantity, cost, everything, and give your customer an answer right at that point. So pretty simple, not too difficult. Now, this would also be something where you could take those plans and say, hey, my customer wants the PrimaLine 3, and just send those two things to Alloy, and they will figure the rest for you. So here's just, it's not that exact kitchen, but it's pretty similar. So we use this photo. This is some PrimaLine 3 in a Surface 6 channel located under a kitchen cabinet. Again, I mean, to take this photo, to see it, you really have to bend down and get low and look up at it. From regular height looking, you don't see anything. All you see is the light, which is really the point of tape light and channel light. And you can even see how it highlights off the backsplash and the countertop. All right, so let's look at quote and layout services that Alloy provides. There's a small little picture up there on the right of kind of what a layout will look like that Alloy would send you. We'll see a bigger example of this as we go on, but it's a really nice feature, and I would always encourage you, whenever you get a layout, to make sure you send that to your customer and or whoever is doing the installation on this. It'll help them know what they're getting and how it should be wired and laid out. So next, there's a couple different ways to submit a quote request from Alloy. This is a quick quote form. With this quick quote form, if you figure out with your customer what product they're looking for, and you just need to have the accessories and kind of the package put together, you want to know what the cost would be for custom cuts, this is an easy way to go. You can complete this in 5 minutes, and you will get a bill of materials and a price back from Alloy within 24 hours of submitting this. Next, we'll have a custom quote, and we'll see what a custom quote entails here first. So this is some of the customization services Alloy will do. So they are a UL factory, so they can actually build and make fixtures that are UL approved and ship them out. So they can cut the tape, they can assemble the tape, put it in the channel, wire it with the appropriate lead and length, solder it on there. If it's a outdoor on a deck or gazebo and it's a wet application, they will cut and seal everything. And this is really inexpensive for them to do it, and it makes the installation process so much easier. So here's that quick quote, custom quote form. I will tell you, I rarely ever submit this actual form, but I reference it whenever I'm doing a custom quote. I'll basically get all the information that they require that's on this form, and I literally just type it up in an email and send it to the solutions@Alloy LED email address. And I usually get it back. They say 24 to 36 hours. I usually get it back the same day if I send it in early enough. They're in California, so if I can get it done by noon, it's 10 their time, I get it later that afternoon. With a custom quote is great because they will lay everything out in terms of the layout in the product that you're getting. Everything is organized in a manner where you can easily tell if you're doing different rooms or different sections. They have everything labeled. So it's really clear, and you get an exact price and quote, and there's an estimate number attached to it. So if you present it to your customer, say, here it is, here's the job, here's your price, and it turns into a purchase order, you can just reference that estimate number on your PO, submit that, and you're good to go. You don't have to rewrite everything up on a purchase order and submit it. You reference that estimate or quote number and submit your order, and you're good to go. All right, so we're going to show you a couple of examples of projects that I've worked on recently. First is a doorway cove. This is a commercial application. So there's two different types of doors. First, I think probably get the numbers backwards. I think there's about 140 of these doors where they want to tape in channel going across the top of the door and then down the one side. And after working with my my contact there at the distributor, as well as the electrician who was quoting and was going to be doing the installation on this, we just asked them what they wanted to get out of this. So we could figure, if you look on the left there, they wanted just an ambiance light. So we did the PrimaLine 1.5 watt. They told us how many drivers they wanted. In this case, it was one driver for each door. So we were able to spec this out pretty easily. If we go to the next page, you'll see the other door. There's about 143 of these, and this they wanted the tape going across the top of the door and then down the side. And it was actually in the jamb, not the door, but the jamb that this was set in. So there was 143 of these, so they didn't want 143 drivers. So we had to figure out, how many drivers could we use for every X amount number of doors with the wattage. So I think we ended up with about 20 drivers doing all 140 doors. So we submitted that to Alloy. And basically this is what you get back. And again, the font's kind of small in here, but you can see, especially that middle page, it says, all right, section 1, this is for the U-shaped doors. So this is for the tape going across the top and down both sides. Your connectors, it kind of lists everything out. The total number of tape, I think there's 903 feet total. It itemizes everything. We erase the pricing on here, but it sends you the whole thing. If you look on section 2 on the far right, those where it was only going down one side of the door. So there's a total of almost 1,800 feet of tape for that. All right, so the next example here on the next page is a fireplace wall. Again, really nice drawing we were able to get with this. Our customer wanted a little bit brighter light, so we did the PrimaLine 3 watt. No channel on this. This was actually a custom cabinet guy here in Northeast Minneapolis that I work with. And so he loves this product. He'll order this right away so that he can place it in his showroom when he's actually making the cabinets and or the shelves, and has it ready to go. So then when it gets out to the job site, he literally, all he's got to do is power the driver and he's good to go. So here it was pretty simple. We had 6 total different shelves that we wanted to highlight, 3 on either side, all the same length. No tape, or I'm sorry, no channel needed for this. But this was not a gut remodel or new construction. So wiring it to a switch on the wall is going to be a little difficult. So we did what the Alloy has, that slim dim control, which is basically a remote control. It can mount on the wall, so it can operate like a wall switch, but similar to, say, a ceiling fan remote control, it works in the same manner. There's a receiver that mounts next to the driver, and then you have the transmitter, which is operated by the with the battery, and you can either use it as a remote control or mount it on the wall. You get both options. So you can see on the next page what we got back here. It says the Alloy in-house customization team. So they'll cut that tape to length. They will solder the 8-foot leads onto each tape run and have it ready to go. There's the driver. Again, they will give you the cost of everything. You can see on the bottom there, the 2 parts that make up the slim dim, the wireless receiver that mounts next to the driver, and the actual transmitter itself. So that'll help you get your product and your pricing. And then here's that layout we talked about that was specific for that fireplace wall. So you can see the driver and the receiver there, hand in hand, connected to one another. And in that case, we were going to mount those below on the bottom lower set of cabinets. And then we have the 6 runs coming off the receiver. And then you see the little picture of the slim dim controller as well. And again, even on the layout, they explain everything that was ordered, the product that you're getting, so on and so forth. So let's say, for example, we have a left side and a right side of this fireplace wall. And let's say that the lengths were different. Okay, so what Alloy would do is they would have it labeled. So it would say left wall, top shelf, 48-inch length. Middle shelf, right wall, 63-inch length. So they would call out where each one went on both the explanation sheet, the layout, the quote form, everything. So again, makes it really great for the installer. Next page. Slow, Tammy's clickers.
I know I've actually, on my side, it's showing that we've moved on. So in conclusion, what we really want you to get.
Conclusion.
You there it is. You found it.
Alloy, there it is. You can see Alloy makes it easy to quote. It's easy to order when you're working with a quote. I will tell you, their customer service team is top notch. They are more than happy to talk to you or your customer or the installer. I'm sure they're probably sick of talking to me, so they rather talk to one of those people than deal with me. But there's been a number of times where I'll have an installer on site having an issue with something. He will call Alloy direct. They walk him or her through whatever the issue is. It almost always gets resolved. So that's it from me.
Sounds good. Thanks so much, Nick, for all of your insight on this. If anyone has any questions, you can certainly ask them now. Otherwise, this recording will be available on our YouTube channel, and hopefully we will see you next week on our next webinar. So thank you very much and have a fantastic day.